when NVIDIA reintroduced their 90 class GPUs back in 2020 after having a very long break not having a 90 class GPU. They reintroduced it with the 3090 GPU, which the leather jacket man himself, Jensen, said that it was a BF GPU that stood for Big Fucking Graphics Processing Unit. And he carried it with two hands because that's how heavy it was. And he confidently said that this video card could play 8K games, not just 4K, 8K games comfortably without any issues. Mind you, they showed some people playing 8K gaming, but on DLSS performance, or probably ultra performance, we don't even know, but DLSS on performance is only a 4K signal, so it's rendering the game at 4K but just upscaling it to 8K, which absolutely looks better than native 4K. It looks like 4K with some super heavy DLA on top of it. So today I'm gonna be trying the 3090 Ti, not the 3090, its bigger brother Ti, which is like 4% difference in 4K gaming, and see how it fares today in 2024 with all the demanding games that are out. See how it plays those games, if it can still be worth it or can be an option if you want to build a gaming PC that has a bunch load of VRAM buffer, because there's the 4070 Super that can have the same FPS as the 3090 Ti, but it only has 12 gigabytes VRAM buffer. So today I'm gonna be trying the 3090 Ti, and I'm gonna see how it fares against those heavy unoptimized games. Some of them are optimized right now, and if it's still even worth it in 2024 and 2025 coming up, and games are gonna be only gonna get demanding. I am going to be starting with the most demanding game. Well, Cyberpunk is the most demanding game. Well, this is on par with Cyberpunk. So this game is now running at 4K with FSR native because DLSS is gonna give me DLA. It's gonna take 2 or 3 FPS more from the FPS counter. So I don't want that. I don't want that to happen. So now I'm playing with high settings instead of ultra, and the ray tracing is off at the moment. And now it's giving me, let me reset 100% lows because it always goes down to 1 or 2, like 15 as you saw when I go to the pause menu to change, and now it dropped to the 15 again. And why is Alex Casey running and racing me?
Favorite shape.
Please, Anderson, just one case.
So right off the bat, you can see that it's using 12.7 gigabyte without any ray tracing, without any frame generation, just on its own base 4K. Running at 12.7 gigabytes. Yes, you can play in 1440p, of course, and have like 10 gigabytes of VRAM used instead of 12, but this is 4K testing. I'm not sure why it's going that way. It's the same as me. Most of the time when I benchmark this game, it stays in the same place. And this is reminder that this place that I am in, the forest, is the most intensive area in the whole game. So the whole game is going to be way better than this performance wise. Let's use DLSS on quality right now. Set off SR. DLSS is better, and DLSS is gonna shoot me up to 60, not yet 60, but close to 60. 55, 56 is better than 30, 29, 28 FPS, which is really feeling smooth right now. Like coming up from 28, 30 FPS is really smooth. This is very playable. And even though if I want to use frame generation, because yes, you can mod it with Nukem 9 or LookFZ's mod and have frame generation in any game you want. Some people have some games it doesn't work for them, doesn't load properly, but it depends on your installation. It should work. Like it should work 100% of the time if you know how to install it for every game. And now this is less intensive area, but yeah. So most of the game is going to be less intensive than the forest. This is the most intensive area of the game, and it's using now DLSS quality 11.2 instead of 12.7. Okay, let's increase it to DLSS on performance. So DLSS performance bumps me up 20 FPS more, or like 25 FPS, because in the most intensive areas it was like 55, 53, something like that. Now it's 85 FPS with 100% lows in the 70s. And you can see it dropped another gigabyte of VRAM just by downscaling the, or like, because it's upscaling from 1080p, but it's downscaling the internal resolution to 1080p from 4K. And it's giving me a very good FPS. It's 80 FPS. This is very playable on 4K. and not using a lot of VRAM, only 10.6. This GPU has 24 gigabytes of VRAM. All right, so let's try DLSS frame generation now without any ray tracing. And now I'm getting 100 FPS. 100 FPS is not too shabby. This is really good FPS. I see the 100% lows drop,
Take a minute.
but just a simple reset, it got them back to the 90s. I want to go down to the water, see if it's gonna drop even like more to the 90s now. But I think this water section is not as intensive as the other one. Yeah, it's not gonna drop. So the most of the game is gonna be fine. And if, as you can see, this GPU, even though it's now used, or you can buy it refurbished from Micro Center at the same price as the 4070 Super, it does not have frame generation out of the box. You have to mod it. That's for one. For two, it has 24 gigabytes of VRAM. So the 12 gigabyte on 4070 is not enough to play 4K games, while the 4070 Super can play 4K games. That's the problem. You just have to tinker with the options a little bit to get it to work on the 4070 Super. But here you don't have to tinker with the options. You just have to use DLSS, and everything on max 4K is gonna play smoothly. Let's try ray tracing for a bit. I know it's gonna be very intensive. It's already dropped to 58, 60 with this is with frame generation, and it feels a very heavy input lag. There's a very heavy input lag because I'm probably coming up from 30s, or like probably less than 30s, and it's doubling the frame rate with frame generation, and this is not feeling good. Like, smoothness wise, it's smooth, but it's like hand to movement on screen, it does not feel good. I mean, I move my mouse and then I wait half a second to see it actually move. Well, like probably not half a second, but probably some 200 to 300 milliseconds of waiting until I can see it on the screen. So it's very noticeable. Now let's move on to another game that is less intensive, uses less VRAM than it needs. Resident Evil 4 Remake is one of the most optimized games that I've played. One of them, not the most optimized. And as you can see here, I'm playing with DLSS mod, and it has DLIA with DLSS, with the DLSS mod. And I have some mods like OG with Leon's face, and some and I think I have the assault rifles mod, which gives it a one small dot instead of looking at the enemies through the iron sights, because that was horrible through the game. I couldn't even get a shot with that gun. So let me just run it with DLIA first, and it's giving me 59, 58, 60 FPS here and there. This is max graphics without any ray tracing. No ray tracing. Ray tracing just sucks in this game, so it's not really needed. Ray tracing just makes the game looks the same, and then taking like 25% of FPS of performance, not just FPS. All right, now it was using 8, and now like in close to the house, and then go into the house, it's using 10 gigabytes of VRAM. It was using 8 point something before. It's not like straight 8, but yeah. Okay, now I'm in the darker scene and getting 70. I had like 80 before in the house. Let me just make sure that there's no ray tracing actually. Yeah, ray tracing is off, but everything is maxed out. I thought it was gonna be giving me like in this dark area like 100 or something like that, but it's only giving me 70s to 80s, which is not bad. Oh god, this guy is still alive. I forgot. I haven't played this game for a long time. Like 2 months I haven't played this game, and I forgot that this guy comes back to life. All right, in middle of the action, this is the mod that I was talking about. Can I shoot this guy from here? Is he even accessible for me? Only his hand shows for me, and I can't even shoot him. Okay. Now it's dropping to the 60s, which is actually not bad, but still, I had like 80s before in this exact area of the house when these guys were not here. Now I have only 60s. Not a problem, because DLSS will solve this problem. Okay, now that I'm outside, I'm gonna go disable DLIA, enable DLSS, go away mod. All right, with DLIA, it gave me like double the performance without, with DLSS, it gave me double the performance without ray tracing. And ray tracing, if I enable it, it's just gonna go down to 70s probably, and just like bottleneck my GPU. That's for sure, because ray tracing this game does nothing but just bottleneck the GPU for some reason. I'm not gonna save here because this run is just for this benchmark to test the 3090 Ti, because I have another save that I haven't completed. Yeah, let me reset the 100% lows. Yeah, the 100% lows are not that bad. There's a stutter coming up here because it's gonna load something. The game's gonna load something. Oh, I was gonna say, where are these guys at? I can hear them, but I cannot see them. These guys are like very easy with this gun. And yeah, this is DLSS on quality. What about DLSS on performance? Let's go. It's gonna make, I haven't dropped the latest DLL, so it's gonna make my game look shitty. But DLSS performance is not. Yeah. I have to update this game with the latest DLL from NVIDIA. But I mean, it's giving me 150 FPS. I think this is the most that this engine can. No, it's not the most, because now it's dropping to 135, while only being GPU being utilized at 70%, 60%. And this is the actual, like, actually this GPU is like very strong. I mean, the CPU is very strong, so it's not the CPU that's bottlenecking the GPU. It's just the game not using more of the cores. Yeah. What? That woman just attacked me without her head. Yeah, this mod is like pretty accurate. I can get like headshots all day long. Ooh, I'm gonna get killed with that axe right now. I don't even have time to parry it. I don't know when the cutscene is gonna get off. Oh damn, if I parry it, I'm a fucking legend. It just disappeared. Opa. These guys are. Yep, I'm getting impaled. No problem though, I can kill them all. I can just use this Chicago typewriter. They changed the name in this game. I don't know what they changed the name to, but I know that it's not Chicago typewriter anymore. All right. Skull and bone shatter. I don't know what skull shatter or something like that. This shotgun is named. I'm gonna keep shooting these guys. Oh, they prevented me from shooting these guys because of the cutscene. All right, so this game doesn't benefit from the DLSS on performance, but it definitely gives me double, give or like more or less FPS than using it with DLA or like native resolution, because DLA doesn't take much in this game as well. So yeah, let's move on to another title. All right, now for a little bit of a more demanding game. This is The Last of Us Part 1, and as you can see right off the bat, this is using, let me just go through the settings first. Display sitting at 4K and no upscalers, no frame generation stuff. The VSync is on. I'm gonna turn it off. I'm gonna use frame generation from FSR because there's no frame generation from DLSS, and I'm gonna use DLSS for the upscaling, just for the upscaling. Want to apply changes? Yes. Nope. Go back. Disable. And apply changes again. As I was gonna say, why does it go all the way back when I press escape? This is defaulting to ultra, and this is one of those games that ultra is very different than high. Like high looks very basic and ultra looks very, I don't know, detailed. Not high doesn't look very basic. I'm sorry, I didn't want to say that, but high looks very different than ultra. This is one of these games that if you drop to high, it's gonna drop VRAM significantly, and as you can see, it dropped from like 10.5 to 8.4. So that's a 2 GB point one just by dropping from ultra to high. So that's a very worth it drop, because I FPS wise I was in the high 40s. Now I'm in the high 50s, which is like 10 FPS more, and yeah, that's a worth the drop from like ultra to high. But I don't say for the visuals it doesn't worth it, to be honest, because this game has very different settings in ultra than in high. But the VRAM is king. If you have the necessary VRAM, you can like play this game at ultra without any sacrificing a lot of performance. Not any performance, but without sacrificing a lot of performance. All right, now let's just go back to ultra for some time. Now I'm gonna go back to ultra for a while. I don't think I'm gonna drop it back from ultra because ultra looks very detailed. And then now I'm gonna go enable DLSS. Where's DLSS? Okay, so DLSS quality, apply, go back. So DLSS bumps me from like the 40s with ultra to 70s, which is a welcome uplift in performance. I think there's still 2 more runners in here. Not there yet. I hope he doesn't see me. He saw me, but he got an arrow to the face. They don't die quite easily. They keep switching and screaming until they die. Well, I got him in the eye. I didn't get him to the head, like quite clean, but I got him through the eye, so that actually hurts. And these guys, they die from 1 shot from this arrow, but from the gun, which is more powerful than an arrow, they need 2 shots. Go figure. Oh shit, this guy's gonna see me. All right, I have impeccable aim. If there's no sensitivity problems, if there's like no lag or something, I have a sharp aim. All right, now let's go with DLSS on performance, which is display. Where's the DLSS? Yeah, right. Sometimes I just get confused. I don't know where the DLSS is at. So now I was in the 70s. Now I'm on 115, 110, 108. Let me just reset the 100% lows. Yeah, the 100% lows are in the 90s. So not that, but oh, now dropped to the 60s. Like half my performance is just 100% lows. I did not even feel any stutter. I don't see any stutter. I don't know what happened. To be honest, I don't know what happened. This inside area is gonna be way less intensive. I don't want to go inside it, but I have to for the sake of continuation. Yeah.
What about going through here?
What, the donkey door?
Shut up, kid. She's gonna go through the small door and open up the ropes, loosen up the ropes to open the door. All right. Now let's go use frame generation from FSR. So I have to drop to FSR frame upscale. I'm gonna use quality instead of performance. And the previous iteration of FSR 3 generation in this game was shit. It was trash. It didn't look well. I'm gonna put a video. It's the light was flickering. The game was stuttering and jittering like hell. It did not, like, I had 70 FPS, but it felt like I have 20 FPS. I did not look good. Did not feel good. Did not play good. And everything was flickering. Lighting was flickering, grass was flickering, everything was flickering in and out of existence. But this one, this implementation is actually top notch, just like the DLSS 3 in other games. It doesn't flicker, it's stable, there's no object getting in and out of existence. So yeah, I just applied the upscaling from FSR. Now, no, I want to use not VSync, I want to use frame generation. Yes, that's why I get confused sometimes. So with frame generation and FSR on quality instead of performance, I get a clearer image with 116, 120. It's the same as like DLSS on performance, but with a clearer kind of image. But DLSS on performance, if you drop the latest DLL, to be honest, it's not gonna look bad. It's gonna look very sharp. As we've seen with Alan Wake, I have the latest like DLL from DLSS. So from NVIDIA, I mean, the latest DLL to DLSS from NVIDIA, not from DLSS. And it looked very sharp on DLSS on performance. Okay, now with another demanding game, which is Cyberpunk 2077. Not as demanding as Alan Wake, but it's up there. It's like the second demanding game of all time to any GPU, or CPU for that matter. And now, let me just go through the graphics first, real quick. Settings, graphics, I set it to ultra. I'm gonna disable motion blur. So as you can see, everything is set to ultra except ray tracing is not included in this run of the game. I'm going to do ray tracing and path tracing as well. And yeah, this is how it runs. Wow, now it's 28. Now it's more demanding than Alan Wake. At least Alan Wake was giving me 30 steady 30, 31 FPS. And this run, like, wow, it drops to 24 FPS in the tunnel. What's in the tunnel that's dropping into 24 FPS? And as you can see, right off the bat, not even using ray tracing or anything, it's taking 12.1 gigabytes of VRAM, something that the 4070 Super wouldn't be able to do at 4K. While it can play it at 4K, it can't do it because it's being gimped by the VRAM buffer, 12 gigabytes of VRAM buffer that it has. And I came back to the channel to see what makes it go really that low of FPS, like 24 FPS, but I confused myself with talking about the VRAM. And I forgot. Yeah, so let's just enable DLSS. I think DLSS is gonna drop a gigabyte of VRAM usage. I hope so. So yeah, from 12.5 to 11. Well, now it's creeping up again. 11.9, 11.7. It's not really a gigabyte of VRAM, but it's still. Oh wow, it's got now it's back at 12. So yeah, so this is something that the 4070 Super won't be able to do. So you can find this GPU like the 3090 Ti like for 650 or like 700 in Micro Center refurbished GPUs. They have the Founders Edition refurbished, which you can buy. Like it's the same price as the 4070 Super, but each has its own perks. This one has this one has 24 gigabytes of VRAM, but doesn't have frame generation baked in. But you can still mod it. The other one, 4070 Super, does not have 24 gigabytes of VRAM, and you cannot mod 24 gigabytes of VRAM. Like unless you have like soldering skill and like programming skill to actually mod it into the GPU. So in my opinion, I still prefer the 3090 Ti over the 4070. But again, like the 4070 has frame generation baked in, 3 more years of warranty if you buy it new. And the 3090 Ti's are not going to have any warranty left. Probably Micro Center going to give you their warranty. Probably going to be like a year or something like that. But yeah. Let's drop DLSS to performance. I've been talking too much about... I've been using FSR, not DLSS. Let's go to DLSS. No, I was using DLSS. It's just when you switch this, it goes to FSR automatically for some reason. Alright, so let's just turn it to DLSS on... Let's just go to Ultra again because I messed up the settings. DLSS performance. Turn off the motion blur. Okay, now with DLSS on performance, I get 70 exactly the same as a 4070 Super. Why is my card stuck? Okay. For some reason it was stuck under the floor. This GPU gets the same exact FPS as a 4070 Super, but this GPU has more VRAM. So if you want to run 4K, 4K is gonna cost you more than 12 gigabytes of VRAM in most games, and you're not gonna have that with the 4070 Super. And if you want to use frame generation, this one, when you mod it into this one, it's gonna use 2 more or 2.5 more gigabytes of VRAM, but the 4070 Super cannot even afford to use 2.5 gigabytes over the 12 gigabytes that it has. Otherwise, it's gonna go to the system RAM. The system RAM is very slow, and it's not gonna be a good gaming experience. All right, let's use frame generation just to see how many gigabytes of VRAM is it gonna use. So it was using like 11 something. Let's go back. Frame generation using now 12.5. So it's only 1 gigabytes and a half over like non-frame generating stuff. But still, it's over 12 gigabyte, and the 4070 Super cannot do that. So that's why I think this GPU is still worth it if you want to upgrade to 4070 Super. I think this GPU would be worth look at because it has the same FPS as 4070 Super, but has more VRAM. All right, let's now go and do all the way. I'm gonna do ray tracing in medium first, and then with performance DLSS with frame generation actually, and go back. I was in the 90s. Well, I'm still in the 90s. Did it even apply? Oh no, I was in the 90s without any frame generation. I was in the hundreds with frame generation. I forgot. Or did I? Was I in the hundreds? I did not. When I kept focusing on the VRAM usage with frame generation, I didn't even pay attention on how many FPS I get with frame generation. But yeah, you can still see like ray tracing is in medium. It looks a little bit different than without any ray tracing, but not very different. It's not worth the performance drop. I say if you want to do ray tracing, go path tracing, or do not go at all, because path tracing is the real ray tracing. Let's keep it on ray tracing overdrive, which is path tracing actually, and enable DLSS on performance. And I'm getting the same exact FPS as Alan Wake because path tracing acts the same in any other game, has the same ray bounces, has the same lighting effects, everything, the shadow effect, everything that's in Alan Wake is in here too. All right, now we jump to Horizon Forbidden West. This is Burning Shores. This is the most intensive map in this game. Well, there are two maps. This is more intensive than the other map. The other map is going to be like 60 FPS on average all the time. This one is like 50, dropping to 40s, and the graphics are 4K without any VSync, without any DLSS, with DLA actually, not without, but without any upscaling. The graphics are set to very high because you can look from high to very high, only 4 FPS lost. It doesn't even make sense. And look at the palm trees, they're gonna look very blurry with high settings. It's gonna look very bad. So there's a very big difference. This and The Last of Us like have very big difference between high and very high, but in the performance penalty is not that big. In The Last of Us just uses 2 more gigabytes of VRAM, but this one does not use as much. Let me just see, make sure. Yeah, it does not drop that much. So from 9.8 to 10.4, 10.7. So not even a gigabytes of VRAM being increased. All right, now let's just go and see how it runs on the various areas of this area. And as you can see, because this area has a lot of holograms and stuff, even that volcano erupting right there is like just a hologram. It's a holo effect. It's not real. And because of all the holo effects in here, this area is very intensive. It's very intensive. Like none of the other areas in this game are intensive as this one. And even like the Burning Shore maps, all of it is like more intensive than the regular map, but this exact spot is way more intensive than anything I've seen. All right, let's just enable DLSS. I've talked too much about native. Let's just, did I just reset it to default? No, I don't want VSync. I have no idea what happened. Dynamic thing, I want it off, and I want DLSS on. Quality, apply, not reset. And for some reason it became like even brighter. I think I've messed with the brightness slider somehow someday. I didn't even realize that, but now it looks like even brighter. Yeah, so now with DLSS it gives me like almost double FPS. I was in the 40s, like high 40s, now I'm like a low 80s and high 70s. So yeah, almost double the FPS, but not quite there yet. And the VRAM is still the same. As you can see, this game does not care about the VRAM. It's going to use the same exact amount of VRAM every time at every quality preset, and it only drops by a few megabytes, few hundred megabytes if you use a different, like lower quality preset. All right, now let's try DLSS on performance. DLSS on performance, where is it gonna be? Right here. Oh, this is FSR, DLSS on performance. Apply. Not to press F by default again, because what just happened? DLSS on performance not giving me any uplift in performance. Let me just see. Let me just make sure. What FPS was I in with DLSS quality in this exact scene? Oh, it was in 60s. I thought it was in this like in the 80s. So it dropped to the 60s. I didn't even notice that. And DLSS on performance is gonna give me 10 more FPS from 69 to 82. So like 13 more FPS. And the VRAM dropped only by a few hundred megabytes again. So it does not care if you use. It's not like The Last of Us. You see, some people say that The Last of Us is not optimized. This, if you think The Last of Us is not optimized while dropping a whole gigabyte just by dropping DLSS from quality to performance, this game is not even in there yet. It's not even. This game is not even developed if the other one is not optimized. All right, so I'm having like 90 FPS with this, and this game has the frame generation, DLSS frame generation, so I can mod FSR 32 frame generation, and I'm gonna have the frame generation on in here with the 3090. This is one of the games that is really easy to install frame generation in, just like Cyberpunk, and now I'm having 120 FPS. This game is not that, doesn't need 120 FPS. It's fast paced when you're fighting with the robots and stuff, with the giant robots, but it's not really that faster than like Resident Evil or The Last of Us, because it's still a single player game. It's like 60 FPS would be like the base minimum, but to enjoy this game you can get out like with 70. It's gonna be better actually. 90 is gonna be like top notch, but certainly you don't need 120 130 FPS in this game all the time. And now frame generation is just like using 12 gigabytes instead of 10, 12.8, so close to 13 gigabytes of VRAM, and the 4070 Super wouldn't be able to do this. It's gonna go, because if it slips through the, like from the VRAM to the RAM, if it leaks to the RAM, it's just gonna go, the RAM has to talk to the CPU, then go through the chipset, then go through the PCI lanes, like from the RAM to the chipset, then travel another, like from the chipset to GPU. It's gonna take a long time. And even though like just like base speed, the VRAM is way faster than the RAM. Even in DDR4, the VRAM is like in DDR6, and now it's gonna be like in DDR7 with the next generation of GPUs. So the VRAM is way like leaps ahead of the RAM. So I wouldn't advise playing this game at 4K with all these settings maxed out, with frame generation. Even if you don't have it maxed out, probably 1440p is gonna be the way to go with this game. With the 4070, the 3090 Ti is a different story. The 3090 has 24 gigabytes VRAM buffer, so it doesn't care. It can run this game at any resolution, even at 8K, and still have like some VRAM left.